In this video, we're going to demonstrate the disassembly of the Webley Hawk Mark II. The Mark II superseded the Mark I in 1974 and was itself superseded in 1977 by the Mark III. Unusually, the Hawk was available with interchangeable barrels. You could buy it with a .177 barrel or with a 2.2 barrel. Alternatively, you could buy a combination kit that included both barrels. This well-used example has arrived with us, as you can see, with a broken barrel. It had been snapped where the barrel meets the barrel housing and will therefore need to be replaced. Helpfully, the short piece can be reversed, screwed into the barrel housing and used to break the action open. The next thing is to remove the front stock screws and then the trigger guard screw and the trigger guard wood screw. So we can now remove the trigger guard. We can now use a pin punch to push out the loading lever access pin. The loading lever can now be released from the barrel housing. Next, we need to release the barrel pivot pin. And again, this is where a pin punch can be useful. It's also very useful to do it on a block of wood that has a recess in it, and you can knock the pin through into the recess. With the pin removed, we now need to take the pressure off the barrel fixing plunger. And we hold it in while we remove the pin punch. Take the barrel housing out, and then the barrel fixing plunger and the spring can be taken out. One of the most useful tools is a dental pick, which is useful for all kinds of things. In this instance, we can use it to take out the breech seal. And you can see there that that's damaged, and that will also need replacing when the air rifle is rebuilt. Next, we can look at the trigger, sear and safety housing. There's 3 axis clips here that just need to be removed. And for this, circlip pliers can be very, very handy, and it will stop those clips just pinging off everywhere. And the last one is for the sear. And then it's just a case of removing those 3 pins. And again, this is very easy with a pin punch. And once they're all out, the trigger just slips out. Now there's actually a sear spring in there which sits over the sear and the safety slide. And again, this is something that you can remove quite easily just using that dental pick. And with that moved out the way, you should just be able to work the sear out from the trigger housing. There you go. And then the sear spring, and lastly the safety slide will just slide out. Now there's a trigger adjusting screw that sits just on the top of the body end plug. That just needs to be loosened before you remove the body end plug and access the mainspring and the piston. So before you remove the body end plug pin, this is where you may want to use a spring compressor. However, this particular example, the spring isn't under very much pressure, so it can easily be released just by putting pressure on and using a pin just to push that pin out, and then the body end plug just will pop out like that. And then the spring will just come out. There's quite a lot of oil on that spring. And then it's just a case of sliding the cylinder out. And again, a good clean down to get some of the oil off. And then just a case of removing those two piston rings at the top of the piston. And that's it. That's the completely disassembled Webley Hawk Mark II. I hope you find that useful, and thank you for watching.